I am not a warrior. I have never led an assault or stood at the front of a battle line. My duty has always been observation, recording, and interpretation. I am a sanctioned scholar attached to the Imperium, trusted to read what others cannot and to write what most are afraid to name. I have witnessed horrors that would break lesser minds. I have seen worlds burned clean by I have felt the warp scream as demons clawed their way into reality. I have stood near chaos and lived. What happened on that ocean world was not like any of those things. The planet had no name worth remembering. A dead water world cataloged centuries ago and abandoned soon after. Endless black oceans, broken ruins rising like bones from the sea, and a sky that never fully cleared. The Imperium had no use for it, no resources, no strategic value. We were there only because long-range augurs detected a disturbance that did not match any known pattern. At first, nothing seemed wrong. Then the warp changed. There was no surge, no howl, no pressure against the mind. The warp did not rage or twist or pull at my thoughts. It went quiet, completely quiet, as if something vast had inhaled and the universe was waiting for it to exhale. Every psyker aboard felt it. Some collapsed where they stood. Others vomited or clutched their heads in pain. It was not fear in the normal sense. There were no images, no whispers, no madness pressing in. This was older, deeper, instinctive, the kind of fear a body feels before the mind understands danger. For the first time in my life, I realized something was wrong because the warp was not looking at me. The ocean below began to move. Not like waves driven by wind or tides. The surface rose and fell slowly, unevenly, as if something enormous shifted far beneath it. The water darkened further, swallowing the faint reflections of the sky. Ruins that had stood untouched for millennia cracked and sank without sound. I remember thinking that the planet felt small, not weak, small, like a thought that had been forgotten. There was no name in my mind, no vision, no symbol. Just a presence, heavy, ancient, not hostile, but not aware of us either. The feeling was not that of being hunted, but of being ignored by something too vast to notice. The warp did not react. Chaos did not answer. There were no demons, no laughter, no rage, only silence spreading outward like a stain. I understood then that this was not chaos. Chaos feeds on emotion. This thing did not care. It was not Necron technology. There was no precision, no design, no purpose that could be measured. This was something else. Something that did not belong to war, faith, or entropy. The galaxy had not been invaded. The galaxy had been reminded as the ocean continued its slow, unnatural motion. I wrote my final note for that entry with hands that would not stop shaking. Whatever slept beneath that world had not come to conquer or destroy. It had simply awakened, and in doing so, it made everything else feel very, very small. Something else changed after the awakening. It did not happen on the planet. It happened everywhere else. The warp did not explode into violence the way it always does when something powerful stirs. There were no storms, no screaming tides of madness, no demonic laughter echoing through my thoughts. Instead, the warp hesitated. It bent in ways I had never seen before, not twisting with rage, but folding in on itself like a mind trying to understand a thought that did not belong to it. Demons began to vanish, not destroyed, not banished, simply gone. Possessions failed mid-ritual. Cult circles collapsed as symbols lost meaning. Warp gates flickered and closed without resistance. I watched recordings of demonic entities turning away from reality. Not fleeing, but withdrawing, as if staying any longer was dangerous. For the first time, the warp felt small. I began to receive visions, but they were wrong. They did not come with pain or temptation. There were no voices offering power or knowledge. What I saw came from outside the warp entirely. Vast shapes, impossible distances, and a sense of depth that made the Imperium feel thin and shallow by comparison. I understood then that the chaos gods were aware. They were not attacking. They were not speaking. They were watching. Khorne did not roar. Sionch did not scheme. Nurgle did not spread decay. Slaanesh did not whisper desire. The warp itself reflected their uncertainty. It was as if something had entered the galaxy that did not belong to their endless game. Something that did not play by rules they had written over eternity. The Imperium reacted the only way it knows how. Exterminatus orders were prepared within hours. Entire systems were marked for cleansing. Fleets were mobilized. Weapons capable of killing worlds were armed and waiting. And yet, they hesitated. Astropaths could not see clearly. Navigation routes dissolved into blank spaces. The destination felt blurred, as if reality itself refused to provide a path. The Astronomicon still burned, but its light bent around something unseen, like starlight around a void too deep to measure. That was when I realized the most terrifying truth. This presence did not depend on faith. It did not feed on fear, rage, hope, or desire. It did not answer prayers, and it did not provoke them either. Chaos could not corrupt it because there was nothing to corrupt. The Imperium could not worship it because it did not care enough to be worshipped. Only then did the name surface, not spoken aloud, but emerging from fragments of forbidden archives and half-forgotten records. Cthulhu, not as a monster, not as a god-demanding sacrifice, as a presence. He was not awake like a god rising to claim dominion. He was awake like gravity, silent, unavoidable, and indifferent to belief. He did not challenge the chaos gods directly. He did not need to. His existence alone made them uncertain, and uncertainty is something they cannot endure. I understood what this meant if the awakening continued. Chaos thrives on struggle. The Imperium survives on faith. Both require meaning, conflict, and reaction. Cthulhu required nothing. If he remained, the gods could lose their war without ever being defeated. And the Imperium, for all its armies and prayers, might discover that survival means nothing to something that never needed to care in the first place. I'd been close to the Golden Throne before, close enough to feel the Emperor's presence pressing against my thoughts like a constant burning sun. Even in silence, he was never quiet. His will filled the space, heavy with command, pain, and purpose. Every psyker feels it. Every soul on Terra feels it, whether they understand it or not. The Emperor has always been loud in the ways that matter. This time, he was silent, not absent, not weakened, silent in a way that made my instincts recoil. The air near the throne felt unchanged, the lights still blinding, the machinery still screaming with impossible effort. Yet the psychic pressure was different. The familiar weight of guidance and warning was gone. In its place was something restrained, focused, as if an ancient mind had chosen not to speak. Custodians stood motionless, more rigid than I had ever seen them. Their discipline was perfect, but tension leaked through it like cracks in stone. Psychers collapsed without warning, their minds unable to reconcile what they felt with what they expected to feel. Some wept. Others stared blankly, unable to form coherent thought. None of us understood the change, but all of us felt it. Slowly, a terrible realization formed. The Emperor was not struggling. He was observing. The same way the Chaos Gods had gone still. The same way the warp had folded inward. The Emperor of mankind, the being who had held the galaxy together through sheer will and sacrifice for 10,000 years, was watching something with full attention. The contrast became clear to me then. The Emperor is will made flesh. Every breath of his existence is effort. He protects through struggle, through pain, through endless sacrifice. Humanity survives because he refuses to let go. Even in death, he fights entropy itself, burning souls to keep the darkness at bay. What had awakened did none of that. It did not push. It did not resist. It did not protect, it simply existed. The thought struck me with chilling clarity. The Emperor protects. This thing does not. The Emperor holds the galaxy together by force of purpose. Cthulhu does not hold anything at all. The galaxy bends around him not because he commands it, but because it is irrelevant to him. He does not oppose chaos. He does not aid humanity. He does not seek dominion, worship, or annihilation. Humanity is not his enemy. Humanity is beneath notice. That understanding was worse than any vision of destruction. An enemy can be fought. A god can be appeased or resisted. But indifference offers no leverage, no meaning, no hope of influence. I felt the Emperor's presence brush against my awareness then. Not as a command or a decree, but as something closer to a warning. Not words, not images, just a clear, unmistakable sense of caution. As if even he understood that this was not a threat to be met with armies or faith. If Cthulhu chose to move, truly move, then war itself would become meaningless. Not because it would be lost, but because it would no longer matter. Conflict requires participants. Purpose requires opposition. This presence required nothing at all, and for the first time since, I had sworn my life to the Imperium. I wondered whether survival was enough when faced with something that had no reason to let us survive. I no longer think in terms of prophecy or fate. What lies ahead is not a single future, but a range of probabilities, branching quietly from the moment that presence awakened. None of them show a sudden end. No fire consuming the stars. No final scream of the warp. The galaxy does not collapse. It changes. Chaos weakens, not